Good afternoon. And thank you. And I want to welcome you to Haverhill's soon-to-be redeveloped downtown Merrimack Street Waterfront District. My name is Ron Trombley. I'm the Managing Director of the Greater Haverhill Foundation, the local joint venture partner of Merrimack Street Ventures, LLC. That's today's host of this event. As I look around the room, I see a number of folks who were born and brought up in the city of Haverhill as I was. And for all of us, I know I can say that this is a day that we've been waiting for over 40 years. I want a little applause on that one. Thank you. Not for what I said, but what was said. Today, Merrimack Street Ventures, a development partnership of the Greater Haverhill Foundation and the Boston-based Planning Office for Urban Affairs, is very pleased to unveil to the community a transformative vision for the redevelopment of the east end of Haverhill's Merrimack Street Waterfront District. This planned redevelopment, which will anchor Haverhill's downtown waterfront that you will see today, has evolved from the joint efforts of Merrimack Street Ventures team, along with the cooperation and input and support from our state and local official and a number of state agencies. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Lisa Alberghini of the Planning Office for Urban Affairs to provide an overview of the Merrimack Street Ventures Planned Waterfront Redevelopment Initiative. Lisa?
I am so excited to be here today, along with Bill Grogan, our COO and General Counsel, to share this exciting vision for Haverhill's future growth and for the development of this magnificent waterfront. That vision began right here, in this room, and I'm sure in many meetings that have been held in this room over time, in downtown Haverhill, with the Greater Haverhill Foundation, local business and civic leaders, many of you in the room today, with Mayor Fiorentini and his terrific staff, the City Council, and all the support that they've given to the city to be pro-development, and of course, with Chairman Dempsey. Chairman Dempsey has done more to advance the vision of this plan than any other single person or group. So, okay, what is this really all about? Our joint venture has been working to assemble a number of parcels, to establish a development program and design, and to work on financing, all in order to implement this transformative vision. We plan to build a mixed-use development over a number of phases to be known as Harbor Place, as you've heard, that will reinvigorate this end of Merrimack Street with a major focus on commercial development, residential waterfront living, and most importantly, opening up access to the river in a dramatic and highly pedestrian-friendly way. Phase 1 of the proposed development will feature a 7-story commercial building with about 81,500 square feet. It will have ground floor retail and a riverfront restaurant space, a mix of commercial, educational, and office uses, a grand and welcoming pedestrian corridors to the river, a new boardwalk extension to go from the Basilar Bridge all the way to where the current boardwalk ends, I think at the back of Haverhill Bank, and an expansive landscaped public plaza filled with activity. All of this is the real brilliance, I think, of this plan. All of this will be built on a raised development platform, which will change the grades so that Merrimack Street will be at the same level as the top of the floodwall in the boardwalk. And in doing that, it will allow direct access to the river and open up view corridors while also providing, coincidentally, space for underground parking. In a few moments, we will share with you some of the renderings of this development. But now you will be able to stand on Merrimack Street and not see a brick wall, but look out at the plaza and the river and all of the activity that we've got planned, and I know you've got planned for that river as well. And a huge part of this plan is to have our work trigger additional significant development, which we hope will continue by our team and others all up and down the river. The ability for this to happen is in part due to the work of Mayor Fiorentini and his great team and the City Council for creating an environment, as I said before, in Haverhill that welcomes development, and I'd like to say a special thanks to them for helping to make this possible. The proactive work of the city to establish special zoning districts to encourage riverfront development is crucial and Harbor Place has been designed to comply with the new district that governs this site. So again, thank you for your support and for helping to make this possible. And now, though, my most important job for the day, which is to say thank you and to welcome our next speaker, Chairman of House Ways and Means, Chairman Dempsey. Please join me in thanking and welcoming Chairman Dempsey.
Oh, thank you. Please. Thank you very much. That was incredibly kind, Lisa. Thank you so much, and thank you for such a warm round of applause. Thank you so much. It means a great deal to me. I want to first welcome you, and I want to talk a moment about the team, the partnership that you have seen here today. Many of us here in the city have been familiar with the Haverhill Foundation for decades. We know that their incredible work with the Wood Hill Industrial Park years ago, most recently the decision to acquire a key parcel for our downtown, the Woolworth Building, and the incredible leadership with Ron and Sally and Dick and Scott and a great board that is truly committed to the betterment of the city of Haverhill. And then comes along the Planning Office for Urban Affairs under the great leadership of Lisa Alberghini, Bill Grogan, and let me tell you something, where you might not be familiar with them, they have already won awards for the Hayes Building, not too far from where we stand today. But 4 national awards for their work on the Rollins Square development in the south end of Boston. We are very fortunate that both the Haverhill Foundation and POUA have come together to make this vision and to make this dream a reality. So please give them another round of applause. We have all long thought about the vision for downtown Haverhill. We have talked about the Merrimack River. Jimmy Jajuga and I were talking about it earlier, years ago, talking about a boardwalk, talking about the Woolworth Building. They tell me that the Woolworth Building has been vacant since the day I was born. And I'm 47 now, so time's going by. But we've all been, I think, frustrated with the idea that that parcel, a key parcel, has remained vacant for so long. So we've talked about this vision in this partnership. 2 or 3 years ago, had the opportunity to bring Secretary Bielecki, Secretary of Economic Affairs, to the city. And I remember standing on the Basileia Bridge with him, Representative Linda Dean Campbell, who was here, Senator Katie Ives, her support, Diana DeZoglio, Lenny Mira, and in the past, Jim Jajuga and Steve Bedore. And I remember talking to the secretary about the vision of a boardwalk, and he said, well, what comes first, the boardwalk or a development? Naturally, I said the boardwalk, because we didn't have a development at the time. But therein lied the question in the struggle that we have faced as a community for decades. We did not have a private sector developer willing to step up to the extent that is happening here today. So our work in securing over $10 million to begin the work of a boardwalk and to do the infrastructure repairs in our downtown will go a very long way in making this vision a reality. Now, one of the key ingredients for this vision, as we talk about retail, we talk about commercial, and we talk about residential, one of the key ingredients to make this vision come to fruition is a higher ed component. I want to thank publicly Chancellor Marty Mann and President Robert Corrett for their willingness last year to come forward and consider Haverhill for a satellite campus. Marty Mann has taken UMass Lowell and brought it to a completely different level. 2011 was the first time that UMass Lowell was recognized by U.S. News and World Report as one of the top universities in the country. When we began the process of conversation relative to Haverhill, it began at the UMass Lowell campus when we went on a tour to look at the great work that was happening began to talk to the chancellor about the prospect of coming to Haverhill. Because he knows Haverhill, because he loves Haverhill, there was an openness, a willingness. Because we've had a terrific community college, a Northern Essex Community College, for so many years, and continuing the great work, President Lane Glenn, that this could be a tremendous partnership, continuation of what is already a great partnership. So I thank him for that and his vision and work with that. So let me ask you to join with me a very warm welcome for the Chancellor of UMass Lowell, Marty Mann.
Thank you very much, Chairman Dempsey, for those kind remarks, and he even is listening when I tell him all the great things that are happening at the university, and I'm happy to hear that. I want to go through a few things here. Chairman Dempsey asked us a while ago, about a year and a half ago, we started first talking about whether or not satellite campuses, what would be involved, what would be the business plan to locate a satellite campus in Haverhill, and we worked hard at it. We looked at what the funding mechanism would be needed in terms of capital. We looked at programming, and as Brian said, we have a great partner in Northern Essex Community College here. In fact, they're the second highest feeder school to the university. Therefore, to the extent that we can establish those kinds of partnerships that have established for many, many years, enhance them, gives us an opportunity to have a presence here in Haverhill. And as a matter of fact, we are presently at Northern Essex Community College, and we are growing our presence there. We are growing our presence there because we want to be part of this project. We are looking to take 2 floors on this project. It is our intention to come in as a sort of a condominium ownership position. We believe that Haverhill is a type of place that is worth investment. And all you really need to do is look at the private investment here. Haverhill has so many assets, and you look at, key cities around the state, gateway cities, and the fact of the matter is Haverhill has high-speed rail, they have a strategic plan, they have parking in the downtown, there are restaurants downtown, there's private investment in housing that is unique to gateway cities. There's more private investment in housing here than a lot of areas. So we don't just decide, oh, gee, this might work. We do a study and analysis, and Haverhill is the type of place that I think that this can work. But the most important reason we are undertaking this project is because of Brian Dempsey. He's a pleasure to work with. He is very, very effective and has been fabulous on this project. Obviously, Lawrence wants us in Lawrence. Air has a proposal. They want us in Air. There's a proposal to have us in Burlington. And people say, well, why are you putting your stakes down at Haverhill? And I say because of Representative Brian Dempsey, and that's the truth. And this isn't easy. A couple of other points that I want to make and why a university is important. We literally are the engine, UMass, the engine that drives the Massachusetts economy. At UMass Lowell, 86% of our students stay here short term. What does it mean? Employers want highly skilled workers if they're going to locate here, and that's exactly what our mission is at the University of Massachusetts Lowell, providing highly skilled folks that get high-quality education. We have professional science masters that are geared towards business and industry within the Merrimack Valley and throughout Massachusetts. So we think that we can be even a bigger asset than just physically being here is what we can do to help provide a workforce that the mayor knows when he meets with companies day in and day out, they're looking for highly skilled folks. So we're excited about this project. We're delighted. And Sally, every time we say, well, we're looking at 2 floors, Sally, we're going to do 2 floors, she says, what about 4? What about 5? She's never satisfied. But again, we're delighted to be here. We think this project is going to work. We're delighted to work with all of our partners, and more than anything else, we're delighted to work with Chairman Dempsey. Other speakers have mentioned it. I've known him a long time. not only is he very effective in terms of being a legislator, he has a great way about him, but he's actually a really good, decent human being that has a vision of what public service is about and a vision about what this community is all about. And he wants this community to be a model of excellence in economic development. And every step of the way, Representative Dempsey has been totally professional, providing all the answers to the challenges, and it's a challenging project. But he's been very, very effective, and I just want to say to Representative Dempsey, thank you for what you do, and I agree with what all the speakers have said. I've worked with legislators for a long, long period of time. There is no one more effective than Brian Dempsey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chancellor, for your very kind words, and thank you particularly for not revealing my academic records while I was a student. It was a long journey, and I'm glad it's over. I do want to acknowledge we have Superintendent Jim Scully here and members of the school committee as we talk about higher education, public higher education, the role that they play and the importance for our community and for the Merrimack Valley. Very, very important, as we all know. I also want to acknowledge Jim Julian from President Corrett's office and DJ Corcoran from the University of Massachusetts Lowell for their great work and partnership on all of this. I am delighted to introduce the next speaker, President Robert Corrett. Dr. Corrett is the 26th president of the University of Massachusetts, overseeing all 5 campuses, and he began his position in 2011. Right around the time that I was appointed chair of Ways and Means. And I remember reading about his great success at Towson University and his experiences, and he was talking about his vision of perhaps satellite campuses. And I remember our first meeting, I said, you know, Mr. President, I was reading about your interest. I might have a community that would be interested in being a pilot program for your vision. But the Chancellor, as the Chancellor mentioned, the importance of education, the President has carried out that vision on a statewide basis, and he has done it very, very effectively. Most recently, last year, and we all know the challenges of the cost of public higher education, private education, but there is a responsibility for all of us to do what we can in terms of the cost for our public schools. President Corrett put forth a proposal that said, look, we know things have been tough, but we ought to move to a position where we're at least 50-50, that the state contribution is 50% and the student contribution is 50%. It's not going to happen overnight. It could happen over a couple of years. And we looked at that, and I immediately embraced the idea. I thought it was a terrific idea. And not only are we doing it at UMass, and not only has that meant that this past year there has been no tuition or fee increases as a result of this proposal, but we did it at every state university, and we did it at the community college level as well. That came from President Corrett's proposal. We thank him for his great leadership. Please give me a warm welcome for President Corrett.
Thank you, Chairman Dempsey. It's great to be here working with you. This is an exciting day. To make it a little bit more personal, I grew up in Biddeford, Maine. And Biddeford, Maine, in many ways, reflects many of the challenges of the gateway cities here in Massachusetts. And one of my goals, because people helped me along the way, the people that helped me are amazed at what I'm doing today, because I was one of those students that just didn't know where he was going at that moment in time, and various faculty grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and helped guide me a bit. When I visited Biddeford recently, when I came back to Boston for this position, I went into the town and we did an interview at the Palace Diner, which is still in downtown Biddeford, where my dad started working when he came out of the Army. Same diner, same location, built in Lowell, Massachusetts, and pulled up to Biddeford, Maine by horses. And you could see in the city that it is still not rebounded. Many of these gateway cities for over 40 years have been trying to rebound from the mills all moving out and industry leaving. And it gives me great pleasure to be part of helping today to help this city continue to its resurrection and coming back from some of the challenges it's faced over the last several decades. I'm also pleased to support Marty. I have 5 great chancellors on the campuses. They're all different personalities, but they're all hard driving, and they're all getting a lot done. And what Marty's done at Lowell, you've already heard described, is truly amazing. And it makes a huge difference, not only to the campus itself, but to who that campus serves. The people from the region. UMass across the board, and we serve over 100,000 students a year through our campuses and our online programs, has, as Marty pointed out, about 85% of the students come from Massachusetts, and 85% of the students we educate stay in Massachusetts short-term, and over 2/3 stay here for all of their lives. So we have over 260,000 alums across the Commonwealth, and that changes your community. When you're putting out educated citizens who are workers and raising families and paying taxes, it makes a huge, huge, huge difference. We're very, very pleased with what we're able to do as part of our role in higher education. Higher education has 3 primary roles. Education as the first role, economic development, which this is also part of, as the second role. We are economic engines in so many ways. But the third role that sometimes isn't as obvious is social well-being. Communities we're in become better because we're there. Part of that is because of the salaries we pay and the economies get better and people have better lives, but it's also due to our outreach programs and all the things we do. We do with the young, we do with the old, we do with the indigent, we do with people who have health issues. We have huge numbers of programs and expertise that we feed out into the community and help make the communities better. University of Massachusetts is the research segment of public higher education here in Massachusetts. The state universities serve much more of an educational role with a small amount of research. Community colleges are basically 100% teaching in what they do. We're about 50-50. Our faculty are involved about 50% of the time in research and 50% of the time in education. And what happens in that research helps in all of those things I just mentioned: education, economic development, social well-being. We are designing drugs through technology transfer. We get those on the bedside very quickly today. So we're doing all kinds of things across the Commonwealth, and we can do all kinds of things here in Haverhill to make life better and to make the future brighter for the citizens here today. We're ranked as the best in the world by rankings such as U.S. News and World Report. The Times of London, by reputation alone, had us 19th in the world a couple of years ago. We take great pride in that because it reflects on the quality we've been able to accomplish on our campuses. One of the challenges for public higher education is to remain affordable and accessible, but at the same time be high quality. And I've worked in 3 states in 3 different systems, all in the public sector. And in Maryland, I was across the street from Johns Hopkins University. And in California, I was down the street from Stanford University. And here I'm across the river from Harvard University. And one of the challenges the public universities have is to say, yeah, we're accessible, and we're much more affordable than you can find at some of the private institutions, but we're equal in quality in so many ways, and in many ways, we outpace them. And we're very, very proud of that. But we're very, very true to our affordability mission. And that is both accessibility because of cost and accessibility because of geographic location. And this site fits that second mode in particular, bringing an educational institution to the public so that they have easy access to it. We can't do this alone. And as the chairman has just mentioned, I've been a fighter all my life to get education affordable, and it's become more and more of a challenge. The press and the media will point all kinds of reasons why they think tuitions are going up on our campuses. The only reason tuition is going up on our campuses is because state support has not been able to keep pace. And state support has gone from 70, 75, or 80% of the cost of education down to last year, when the chairman was supportive of our proposal, down to 43% of the cost of education. It's hard to go from 70% to 43% and not notice a change in cost to the other person who's paying, which is the student and his or her family. So we came up with the 50-50 model, which was both logical but also affordable. I've been in the political world in 3 states too, and I realize affordable should be part of the mix, because if it's not affordable, it's going to die on arrival. But the chairman personally championed the cause. And because of him, it was built into the budget for the House. In this state, we have the luxury of having 3 budgets. In the 2 states I've worked in before this, we only had 1 budget to deal with. Here we have 3 that we're balancing all the time. And the House budget really drove the budget cycle last year. All through the conference committee with the House leadership, including the chairman, remained strong and supportive, so that at the end, the 50-50 was there, and the governor signed it, and we had a year where we could freeze tuition and fees for the first time in a long time, and we're hoping that that will happen again this year. So again, I'm pleased to be here with all of you. I know it's an exciting day for the city. It's an exciting day for us too at UMass. We have over 75 locations across the state where we are providing educational services, economic services, and we're doing some of the traditional agricultural outreach. So we are throughout the Commonwealth, and we're looking to do this more and more. And UMass Lowell and Monty Meehan being here in Haverhill, with the support of all of you and the leadership of Chairman Dempsey, makes this a great day for UMass as well as a great day for Haverhill. Thanks for having me as part of the event.
President Corrett, thank you so much for your comments and the university is a support for this initiative and UMass Lowell as well. It's very special to have you here today, and it's a driver for this initiative. At this time, I'd like to introduce our mayor, who has been at the forefront of downtown restoration, renaissance, and him and his team have worked very, very closely with the venture effort to make this a reality, to make today happen. And so, Mayor, we'd love to bring you up here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a great day for the city of Haverhill, and it's a day that I know that many of you have waited for 42 years. I know that there is a majority of people in Haverhill who can't remember the last time that building on the corner was ever used for any useful purpose. And thanks to you, Chairman Dempsey, and to Marty Meehan, to the foundation, to the Planning Office of Urban Affairs, the day will end soon when that's an abandoned eyesore in the city of Haverhill. There's so much credit to go around, and I apologize in advance for anybody that I forget, but I would like to mention just a few. To the Greater Haverhill Foundation, you stepped up to the plate just a few years ago. You made a gutsy decision, and it wasn't without criticism, to buy the Woolworth building, and had you not done so, we wouldn't be standing here today. Let's give them another round of applause for the great job they did. To the Planning Office of Urban Affairs, Lisa and Bill are here representing them, and I know the Cardinal has been a big supporter. And you invested in Haverhill once. You evidently liked what you saw. I'm glad you did. You came back. You've invested your money in this project. We wouldn't be here today without you. Give them a round of applause for a great job. To the department heads and city officials who've been working behind the scenes for a year and a half with the planning office, with Chairman Dempsey, with the foundation, so that this project would get easy permitting and go through. Some of them are here today. I know I'm going to omit some, but Bob Ward, our water wastewater director, Paul Jessel, Mike Stankovich, where you hiding, Mike? I know he's here somewhere. Chief Denaro, Deputy La Liberty, and all the department heads who have worked so diligently on this. Thank you so much. To the City Council, which voted for the rezoning of the project, voted for $6 million in flood wall improvements, and has generally been supportive of having Haverhill grow. Thank you so much to all the councilors. I appreciate it. To Governor Patrick and his staff, and to Secretary Bielecki, you've been so supportive. They're not here, but I hope the word gets back to them. They've been so supportive of the city of Haverhill. Thank you. And most particularly, I want to thank Chairman Brian Dempsey, our own local hometown hero, who worked tirelessly on this project, as he has for so many projects in the city of Haverhill. We've spoken countless of times. He has spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on this. We wouldn't be here today without Chairman Dempsey. Give him another round of applause. I want to thank President Corrett and Chancellor Meehan. Chancellor Meehan, we worked well together when you were our congressman. You had a great role in helping Haverhill with things like the parking garage downtown. Wouldn't be here without Chancellor Meehan. And President Corrett, whom I met for the first time today, thank you so much for the support of this project and for all both of you do. This is a wonderful project. Give them a round of applause, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Someday somebody will write another history book of the city of Haverhill. Last one was written, I think, in 1800, Chase's History of Haverhill. And when they do, They will talk about this as being one of the most significant projects in the history of Haverhill. I look back and I said, well, there was the building of the Ward Hill Industrial Park in the 1960s. If you go way, way back, the decision to build shoe factories and Harbor Place here in the city of Haverhill will be recognized as one of the greatest developments ever to hit the city. It reorients the buildings along the river, makes Merrimack Street the focus of downtown as it was in the 1950s. Let me tell you some of the things it'll do. The Woolworth building will be reused the site will be reused for the first time in 42 years. People in Haverhill have waited a whole lifetime for this. For the first time in 75 years, since the flood wall was built, people will be able to see the Merrimack River from Merrimack Street. The one place in the city you can't see the Merrimack is from Merrimack Street. For the first time ever, the 18-hour economy will come to Merrimack Street and to the city of Haverhill. During the day, we'll have students, office spaces, and stores. At night, residents will become customers. The university is so critical to us, and thank you again. Just last week, I had a company come to us to talk about, well, should we go to Haverhill or should we locate down south? They talked to me a little bit. Everyone puts the arm on you for, you know this better than I do, Mr. Chairman, for tax breaks. But really what they wanted to know is, what are the education? What's the education like in the city of Haverhill? This is a critical economic driver for the city of Haverhill. We're very proud as a city to have worked with Chairman Dempsey, the POUA, and the foundation in order to make this an important development in the city, and I make this pledge tonight. Our support for this project will continue, and if we have anything to say about it, this project will come to fruition. Thank you so much.
Mayor, thank you for your remarks and your support and your leadership in this effort. Now, there's a couple of folks I just want to highlight or bring to your attention, and one in particular. And that is really somebody who's been a hands-on partner through this entire effort. As a confidant, sharing ideas, banging ideas back and forth across the table and getting it done. And that is Bill Pillsbury, our Economic Development Director. Bill, thanks for all your work, your help, and this city's lucky to have you. Really, great job. And now at this point, we're going to move to what we all came here for. See what the heck is going on? What are they going to put here? So I'm going to ask initially if we could have Chancellor Meehan.
What do you want me to say?
Sally's. Haven't we all learned?
That's you. Brian, you first. Lisa.
The script has changed slightly.
And while this is happening, there's one other party I want to recognize, and it's going to be, you're going to see their design. And that would be the architectural team out of Chelsea, Massachusetts. And I believe Michael Bennett, principal of the firm, is here. And Jay Szymanski has been the backbone of this design effort and done a great job. And Jay just wants to get one more call from us saying, could we just look at this from a slightly different angle? You know, how could we do this, Jay? So in any event, he's done a great job. So what we're going to do here now is we're going to have an unveiling. And I figure, you know, after 42 years, and how many times it's said, but it should be said, it's been a long time.
3, 2, 1.
We're going to have, I think we should have a countdown, right? And we're going to start at 5 and work our way backwards, and then we're going to have an unveiling in unity here. So I'm going to start that. I'm going to give it now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now there's some strategy. That was the chairman's favorite particular view, and we've embellished it, and we've actually even got the appropriate lighting on the bridge that we hope will all happen as you enter the harbor, the Port of Haverhill by water. And then we have Chancellor Meehan over here, and we appropriately laid on University of Massachusetts signage on that building, and that was done a long time ago. So. So at this point, I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us today, and I would also ask you to stay and give you a highlight. Stay tuned for more announcements as we move along in additional milestones in this development. Truly a transformative waterfront development for the city of Haverhill. And at this time, I would just invite you all to enjoy some fine food by Lisa and Peter Polasek. Thank you very much, and